All day long we've been sitting here and listening to my friends across the aisle and their witnesses claim that the president demanded Ukraine do us a favor by assisting in 2020 re-election campaign before he would release the military aid. This is, like everything else in the sham impeachment, purposefully misleading and not based on the facts. So let's review the actual transcript of the call. They never mentioned the 2020 election. They never mentioned military aid. It does, however, clearly show that the favor the president requested was assistance with the ongoing investigation into the 2016 election. Those investigations, particularly the one being run by U.S. Attorney Jeff Durham, should concern Democrats. And the transcript of this call shows that the president was worried about the efforts of Ukraine relating to the 2016 election. We know this, and notice I'm using the word know and not the word infer, from reading the transcript and because he spoke about it ending with Mueller. We know this because he wants the Attorney General to get in touch with the Ukrainians about the issue. We have a treaty with Ukraine governing these sorts of international investigations. But like so many other things, these facts are inconvenient for Democrats. They don't fit the impeachment narrative, so they're misrepresented or ignored. And I think it's important when we talk about this, and whatever the burden of proof, beyond a reasonable doubt, clear and convincing evidence, whether it's a judicial hearing, a quasi-judicial hearing, or a congressional hearing, when we're talking about these issues, I think we need to start with how we look at it. And I'm not a constitutional law professor. I'm just an old criminal defense attorney. But when I walk into a courtroom, I think of three things. What's the crime charge? What's the conduct? And who's the victim? And we've managed to make it till 5 o'clock today before we've talked about the alleged victim of the crime. And that's President Zelensky. And at 3 different times, President Zelensky, at least 3 different times, has denied being pressured by the president. The call shows laughter, pleasantries, cordiality. September 25th, President Zelensky states, "No, you heard that we had a good phone call. It was normal. We spoke about many things. I think you read it, and nobody pushed me." October 10th, President Zelensky had a press conference, and I encourage everybody to watch it. Even if you don't understand it, 90% of communication is nonverbal. You tell me if you think he's lying. There was no blackmail. December 2nd, this Monday, I never talked to the president from the position of quid pro quo. So we have the alleged victim of quid pro quo, bribery, extortion, whatever we're dealing with now today, repeatedly and adamantly shouting from the rooftops that he never felt pressure, that he was not the victim of anything. So in order for this whole thing to stick, we have to believe that President Zelensky is a pathological liar, or that the Ukrainian president and the country are so weak that he has no choice but to parade himself out there, demoralize himself for the good of his country. Either of these 2 assertions weakens their countries and harms our efforts to help the Ukraine. And also begs the question of how on earth did President Zelensky withstand this illegal and impeachable pressure to begin with? Because this fact still has not changed. The aid was released to Ukraine and did not take any action from them in order for it to flow. And with that, I yield to my friend, Mr. George.